James Wenzel. I'm the Environmental Program Manager for the Waste Management Program for the Department Southeast Regional Office headquartered in Norristown. Also from the regional office are Mohammed Wazid, my Technical Services Section Chief. To his left, Vince O, who's one of our environmental engineers. And at the end, Charles Fees, who's one of our environmental chemists. We also have present from DEP's Division of Hazardous Waste Management in Harrisburg, Malat, who's the Division Chief of the Division of Hazardous Waste Management. To his right, Lou Tran, an environmental engineer with the division. And to his right, Glenn Mitzel, who heads up the permitting and support program for the division. Everyone I just mentioned is a member of the siting team that is conducting the review of the Phase 2 RCRA application for a commercial hazardous and residual waste treatment and storage facility, also referred to as either the RCRA application or the waste application. There are other staff who are contributing to the review of the waste application who could not be present tonight, including a second environmental chemist and a professional geologist. We're currently in the technical review stage of the Phase 2 application, which is a review of the design and operational information required to demonstrate compliance with the applicable permitting requirements under the hazardous waste regulations. And also it includes an evaluation of information to address the proposed facility's overall compliance with DEP's Phase 2 criteria as they relate to the storage, treatment, and overall management of hazardous and residual waste at the proposed facility. This is also step 3 as described in the Understanding the Permitting Process information sheet that is available on DEP's Elcon website, and I believe was also available as a handout at the front table. In accordance with the Hazardous Sites Cleanup Hazardous Sites Cleanup Act, we have 10 months to conduct a technical review. The 10-month period commenced in July 26, 2018, when Elcon's Phase 2 application was determined to be administratively complete. Thus, we have until May 26 of this year to review the Phase 2 application and to make a recommendation to publish or public comment either a draft permit or a notice of intent to deny. Within approximately 30 days of making such a recommendation, the notice is to be published for a 45-day comment period. It'll be published in the Pennsylvania Bulletin, local newspapers. I'm sure there's going to be a press release. It'll be available on the department's website. And I'm also sure that the department staff will make outreach to people who have expressed interest in the application so they're aware of the proposed action. At the end of the 45-day comment period, a comment and response document will be prepared addressing the comments and the department's responses to those comments on the waste application. That comment and response document would be released at the time the department takes a final action on the Phase 2 application. As part of our technical review, DEP issued a technical deficiency letter on November 8, 2018. Elcon submitted its response on February 8, 2019, and that response is currently under review. That response, the original Phase 2 application, and subsequent correspondence and supplemental submittals are all available on DEP's Elcon webpage. Copies of the application are also available for file review at DEP's Southeast Regional Office, at the Levittown branch of the Bucks County Library, and at the West Hampton branch of the Burlington County Library. Virginia?
Good evening. My name is James Barchak. I'm the Air Quality Program Manager for the Southeast Regional Office. With me tonight is our Permitting Chief, James Beach, to my left. On October 16th, 2018, our program received an application for plan approval for the proposed commercial hazardous and residual waste treatment and storage facility. When our program receives an application, it goes through a series of reviews. Initially, we conduct an administrative completeness review to determine if all the correct forms were completed, municipal notifications were made, and if enough technical information was provided to start the technical review. Elcon did complete the forms, submit proof of municipal notification, and provide enough information to begin the technical review. This was documented in our November 1st, 2018 administrative completeness letter. The technical review process is more rigorous. We examine the proposed project to determine what sources are involved in the project, how do the sources work, what pollutants are being emitted from the sources, how does the company propose to minimize or control the emissions from the proposed sources, is the proposed control the best option available, and what regulatory requirements apply to the sources. During this process, the department can pose questions either through informal correspondence or through a formal technical deficiency letter. Once we have completed our technical review, we draft a technical review memo to document the review and the proposed decision on the application. And similar to the waste management program, we publish our notice of intent to either issue or deny the application for the plan approval. If we propose to issue, a draft plan approval is also available for review. At this point, the public has 30 days to comment on the department's proposal. They can also, at that time, request that we hold a public hearing to accept comments in person. If comments are received, we review those comments and determine if we need to make any changes to our memo, the draft plan approval, or the proposal to either issue or deny the application. As an added step that Elcon is doing for this plan approval application is an air dispersion model with risk assessment, which is being reviewed by DEP staff in the Bureau of Air Quality Central Office. They are not required to submit this modeling and risk assessment, but they chose to conduct one and provide it to DEP for our review. This model was received by the department last Friday, March 1st. For those that may not know what an air dispersion model and risk assessment is, it is a complex mathematical simulation of how the air pollutants disperse into the ambient air. It requires the use of computer programs that include algorithms to solve the mathematical equations that govern the pollutant dispersion. Some key pieces of data that are required are the meteorological conditions of the area, the pollutants, emission release parameters such as the stack height and exit velocity, terrain elevations, and the location, height, and width of any obstruction in the path of the emitted pollutants. Once you know where the pollutants will go and at what concentration, we can look at potential health risks. This also provides us with information that we can use to set any limits in any approved permits. As I mentioned, our review of this application will focus on the sources of air emissions, how they are controlled, and the regulatory requirements that apply to this operation. As a commercial hazardous and residual waste treatment facility, they will accept wastewater from pharmaceutical manufacturing operations, petroleum refineries, semiconductor industry, and petrochemical facilities. Major operational steps in the wastewater treatment process will consist of chemical pretreatment, sludge filtration and dewatering, thermal treatment, steam stripping, flash evaporative distillation and distillation, salt concentration, crystallization, and salt drying. A thermal oxidizer with selective non-catalytic reduction, followed by a quench scrubber, will be the primary system used for continuous control of air emissions from the process operations. This will handle the volatile organic compounds, the nitrogen oxides, and acid gases. Other control devices proposed include an activated carbon absorption unit to control emissions when the process is not in operation. There will also be particulate devices like bin vent filters, cyclones, and bag houses. We will examine the state and federal requirements as they apply to the proposed sources in the application. Elcon is proposing emission limits in their application that will define them as a minor facility for all regulated pollutants. The proposed emission limits for nitrogen oxides in this application are 23.4 tons per year. For carbon monoxide, it's 36.6 tons per year. For sulfur oxides, 24.2 tons per year. For volatile organic compounds, 10.1 tons per year. Particulate matter is at 10.5 tons per year, and hydrochloric acid is 6.3 tons per year. At these levels, they do not trigger non-attainment new source review or prevention of significant deterioration requirements, but we do require that they demonstrate that best available technology is used to minimize emissions for all pollutants generated at this facility. To ensure that they stay within those emission limits that they propose, Elcon has proposed to use continuous emission monitors for nitrogen oxides, sulfur oxides, total organic compounds, and carbon monoxide. There will also be requirements for source testing for pollutants that are not covered by the continuous emission monitors. Other types of monitoring that would be required would be the thermal oxidizer combustion chamber temperature, scrubber flow rate, pH of scrubbing liquid, pressure drop cross control equipment, just to name a few of the monitoring requirements that would be applied. To summarize, our technical review of the application will examine the proposed sources and control equipment, operational parameters, and state and federal requirements. We will also take into consideration the review and analysis of the air dispersion model and risk analysis, and we will document the review and our proposed action in a technical review memo, and our proposal will be posted in the PA bulletin, and that proposed action will be open for public comment. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tom Magee. I am the Clean Water Program Manager out of the Southeast Regional Office, and I am up here alone this evening. The reason for that is on October 16th, Elcon Recycling Services submitted an application for a general stormwater permit for the discharge of stormwater from this facility. The application is currently under review, and we received an amendment to that submission last Friday, March 1st. This is an approval for no industrial waste discharge. This is an approval for stormwater only from the facility. All treatment process is in a covered building or in secondary containment, and with that, there's no direct link from the process to the stormwater that's out there. The proposal to discharge would be from one outfall at the facility to Biles Creek and then ultimately the Delaware River. It falls under Appendix A in our general permit application for hazardous waste treatment and storage disposal facilities under the SIC code 4953. The permit application is reviewed by our permitting engineer as well as our operations section. Staff who is familiar with stormwater facilities and the best management practices that go along with those. Once our review process is complete, our turnaround time for a general permit application would be much shorter than the times that you've heard here this evening, but the department is issuing this permit, my general stormwater permit under the Clean Water Program, in coordination with the other permits. So at that time, there will be a chance, 30-day comment period on the permit application at the same time the other permits are issued. And so the permit would require twice a year sampling of the stormwater discharge as well as an annual inspection. For that, the facility would be required to submit those sample results electronically, and those sample results would be available on DEP's website for public review.
Okay, so you just heard from our waste program, our air quality program, and our clean water program. And I'm sure some of you in here understood all of it, and some of you understood none of it, and that's okay. That's